So there's a lot of beauty on the screen.
Very beauty is rather.
It lies in the eyes of the beholder.
Very true indeed.
Okay, we should start. A very good morning to each and everybody that has gathered here and are more than willing and enthusiastic to be a part of this 8th day faculty development program that we are having on pedagogy and research skills development. Well, we are into our 4th day and still running with the same enthusiasm, rather even more. So, welcoming all of you to this beautiful day with a little sunshine and a little rain. So, all party time. So, let me begin with a quote. Learning gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge. Knowledge makes you great. This is what our very popular and favorite president, ex-president, Dr. Abdul Kalam had said and has left as a memory for us. So aren't we endorsing on that fact now that knowledge makes us great? And it's a never-ending saga. The more we learn, the more we come to know that we have oceans to fathom. Thank you, participants, for being with us even on the 4th day. It is very, very heartening to see you all again with the same tempo. Gives a tremendous impetus to our program. So on that note, I, Susan Shibu, would like to again extend a warm welcome to all the dignitaries, esteemed guests, heads of the institutions, faculty members, and very endearing participants. Well, I would like to welcome our head of the Department of Amity School of Languages here at Amity University, Maharashtra, the compelling personality with us, that is Dr. Manjari Vaidya. She is indeed a crowning glory. So what you see happening at this end is augmented by her. So she is the force behind our enthusiasm. I would also like to take this opportunity. Let's once again appreciate the efforts of our co-convener, Dr. Swati Bise ma'am, and of course, our Shashank sir, the smart young boy who's, I don't know how many, I don't think he's left for the last 4 or 5 nights. That is what is a team. And now, not to keep you waiting, let me invite, of course, Dr. Madhavi Nikam. You're going to be given a lavish welcome by our Shrashti ma'am. So I'm just holding the it for her. So on that note, I would request Dr. Shrashti Srivastav, the Assistant Professor of French Department. Madam is also the exam coordinator and placement coordinator here at Amity School of Languages with a very active and compelling 6 years of teaching experience. She is a very vibrant personality. At a young age, she's managing our exam department. We all know what is exam department. It's a never-ending job. And this young lady is always smiling, and very coolly she will tackle all your irritating questions at any hour of the night. So Shashti ma'am, you are indeed a blessing to our department. And on that note, I would like you to invite our guest for the day, Dr. Shashti Srivastava. Yes, ma'am. Sorry,
Thank you so much,
Dr.
ma'am.
Madhavi Nikam. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Yes,
you
Shashti.
so much for such a warm welcome and introduction. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and warm welcome to day 4 of FDP on pedagogy and research skills development. As we all know that there are a variety of approaches to research in any field, irrespective of whether it is applied or basic research, Each particular research study is unique in some way because of the particular time, setting, environment, and place in which it is being undertaken. Nevertheless, all research endeavors share a common goal of furthering our understanding of problem and thus all traverse through certain basic stages forming a process called research process. Ladies and gentlemen, in this session, we are going to learn the insights of research process. On this note, I'd like to welcome our honorable speaker of this session. She is Associate Professor at PG Department of English, R.K. Talreja College, Ulhasnagar, Thane, Mumbai. She is recognized research guide for PhD in English, University of Mumbai, and 9 of her students have been successfully awarded with PhD degree. Apart from being a member of Senate of University of Mumbai from 2010 to 15, she has academics and administration as well. Presently, as a member of the Academic Council 2017-22 of University of Mumbai, she is representing the teaching fraternity. Our respected speaker is the editor of two international journals, Literary Insight and Contemporary Discourse. Her contribution to research continues as a Secretary of Higher Education and Research Society, Navi Mumbai. She has organized many international and national conferences and seminars till date. Her work has been recognized with awards and accolades. She has published many research articles in national and international levels. Although I do not know you personally, ma'am, but I have heard a lot about you, your amicability from our respected HOI, Head of Institution, Professor Dr. Manjari Vaidya, ma'am. Yeah, you have been proved so helpful and friendly, not just for your students and research scholars, but also for your colleagues and friends, no doubt. Well, needless to say that we are fortunate enough that we have got a forever friend on this platform. Ladies and gentlemen, one can't praise her enough. Even words fall short to appreciate her. Please welcome quick-witted, diligent, and benevolent resource person, Dr. Madhavi Nikam, ma'am. Madhavi, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, my pleasure.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am, you're
yeah,
audible.
yeah. Thank you so much, Shrashti. At the outset, let me thank Suzanne Shibu ma'am for the warm and special thanks to a very dear friend, dear and dynamic friend of mine, Dr. Manjit Vidya, who is leading this entire School of Languages in a very listening to of Amity University growing. Love the contribution of the is really very very it makes me rather proud to be associated with being associated to Manjari Media. uh, Swati Rambise for being in touch with me even to organize such a Herculean, a Himalayan, program. Now mentioned about Prashant, who might not have slept for 4 or 5 days. So thank you, one and all. Yes. Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible, but it's
Yes,
lagging,
ma'am.
your net.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am,
Yeah,
you're,
am I audible?
yes, you're audible, ma'am.
Hello. Yeah, I will assure you, a bandwidth issue won't be there. Okay. Yeah. So let's present the screen and start my lecture.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Your net is slightly lagging, so sometimes you freeze on the screen.
Sorry. Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah.
but you're not visible.
I guess she has started presenting the screen. That's why she's not visible.
Okay.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think there is bandwidth issue a little bit, though I have kept backup. A lot of backup is there with me, so there's nothing to worry, I feel. Okay, so good morning once again to one and all, and thank you for giving me this platform to interact with the young minds, because it's always to talk to them, to discuss various things that they have on their mind, and interact with them so that even they feel at ease and more comfortable when it comes and today we are going to discuss about the process of research. Now, to begin with the process of research or this entire word research, Suzanne ma'am just now mentioned one word when she said, you know, you have to fathom something, you have to reach to the bottom of something, to gain something new, to be innovative, to experiment with some things. Now, what do we experiment with? And what are we really going to do when we say we are going? What does this word really mean? In very simple word, I just would like to say, whatever is already searched, you are going to do search on the same topic with different perspectives, with different pedagogy that is there in our hand, and it changes according to the contemporary scenario. I think there are very young research scholars sitting across, and I would like to, make this session very interactive. I just don't want it to be one-sided. I want it to be from both the sides. What exactly do you know of research? Where do you stand at this moment when it comes to this ocean of information that we have in hand? Plenty of information we have. Okay? And this pandemic has given us more exposure to online and internet, and we have been on the virtual screen for days and hours together. So, where are you at the moment? Where do you really stand at the moment? That is what we are here to discuss today. And where will we move ahead and in which direction? That is what we are supposed to think about. So, going about and talking about research, how many of you are already into research? May I know? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
participants can just raise their hands in the.
yeah, that would be great. Okay, so a few of them are already into research and they know what research is. Now, I think I should begin with the scratch to introduce research, the process of research, to make you all aware of what research is and why is it necessary to do research. The first and foremost thing I would like to talk about is this changing global scenario. And moreover, I feel we need to discuss about how the government policies are also keeping us on our toes to update us, to upgrade ourselves, like any software that we keep on upgrading. We must upgrade ourselves. We must be consistent in our studies, in our research, so as to meet the requirement or the need that we have for continuing with what academics is. What came in sixth pay was quite different, and what has come in the seventh pay is quite different. Now, why am I talking about it? I'm talking about it because every now and then the entire academic scenario is changing gradually. With the new education policy at the doorstep, it is almost on the threshold. We have with us many challenges coming ahead. With government policies changing and the process of research changing, it is going to be more of a challenge to even register for PhD. Because, as we all know, PhD has become mandatory at entry point for university from 2021. And equally, it has become very, very important for all those teachers who are aspiring to become associate professors. Because if you want to get your promotion under career advancement scheme, you need to have a PhD degree with you. If you don't have this degree with you, you will not be able to get your associate promotion. And that is why, with this changing rules, with this changing technicalities and the documentation that we need, we have to be more adaptive to the situation. I'm gradually going to come to research process, but this also forms, I feel, it formulates one of the most essential parts of research, doing research. That are there, and how do you register? How do you really get into this flow? How do you get into this ocean of information that it's lying behind? I hello, am I audible? Hello.
Ma'am, your voice is lagging in between. It's
Yeah,
cracking.
I know. Yeah, just give me a second. I've just started my hotspot as well now, Wi-Fi and data as well. Now I think I'll be more clear.
Yes, ma'am, it's clearer now.
Am I audible now? Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
So,
yes.
yeah, in this ocean of information that is lying ahead of us, we need to decide where do we stand, which route do we take, and how do we reach the destination. Because the new education policy or the new placements that are taking place as per the 7 pay scale, things are gradually changing, and this change is something that is inevitable. You cannot protest against it or revolt against it and get the result immediately. And that is why we need to be with the flow. We need to be a part of the generation that is moving ahead. So let us talk about the technical process in short. I will just tell you the technicalities of getting registered first. Let us understand this process. Now, who can register? Who is eligible to register? The first and foremost thing is the person who has completed his PG is eligible to register. Anybody who has completed his or her post graduation is allowed to register for PhD. Second most important thing is if you have cleared your set and net examinations, you will be exempted from the PET, that is PhD entrance test. Or if you have done your MPhil, even then you will be exempted from your PET, that is your PhD entrance test. All the others who have not done their setnet or MPhil will have to appear first for the PET entrance, the PhD entrance test, which is also called as PET. Now, what actually happens in this examination? They test your knowledge about that particular subject. Once you give this examination and you clear this exam, the results are declared, then you become eligible to be a student or a candidate. Until and unless you are not registered, you cannot say that you are pursuing your PhD or your research. After your PET entrance results are declared, the individual departments, like for example, Shrishti ma'am is from French department. So French department will have its own vacancies, list of vacancies available with them, number of guides available with them, reservation policies are to be followed, and then this department will again conduct one interview. There will be a panel of interviewers who will interview, who will ask you questions related to what sort of research you are interested in. What exactly do you have on your mind which will help you to whether your proposal will be accepted or rejected, or your idea will be accepted or rejected, will depend on this interview. Now, when we are into this process of research or getting registered and you are in front of the panel, what exactly should be the preparation of the candidate? Should the candidate just go and sit in front of the panel, or should the candidate be well prepared? Is another question. Many times when we go and when we sit in the panel, we realize that students have got an opportunity to be there, but unfortunately they come unprepared. Hello. Am I audible? I think
Yes,
there is
ma'am, you're
some.
audible.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Uh, I'm getting some messages, so I thought, yeah. So you have to be pre-planned. Now, what should be your planning? You have to plan at least I'm saying, at least two topics which are not very much explored, or at least you will be able to convince the panel that this can be a topic for research. You should not just go and sit in front of the panel and answer the questions that will be asked. You must have something in your hand, a rough proposal, which will carry the ideas that you really want to explore through your research. That is the first thing you all must do. Once your name is displayed on the notice board that you are going to face the interview, the first thing that should come to your mind is exactly what am I going to do? And what sort of questions will be asked to me? The questions definitely will come on the proposal that you are setting in. So once you are here, you are victorious here in the interview. Your topic is innovative. Your topic is quite unexplored. It is quite different. Then the next step comes in is your registration and getting your guide. Now, as you know, since there is a rat race for pursuing PhD these days, because for everything now the research is mandatory. The three increments or three benefits that the teachers used to get, now it's removed in the 7th pay. But on the other side, it is made mandatory for the other promotions as a teacher. And equally important it is to pursue your research, because if you want employability, if you want to be in this field of academics, you have to be fully updated. You have to upgrade yourself every now and then. You cannot, sit back and say, yes, okay, I have completed my setnet and that's done, because there is cutthroat competition in this field of academics. I'm not scaring you, I'm rather making you aware of it. So, how to go about this process? What actually are you supposed to do? Once you get registered, the other thing that comes in is your pre-PhD coursework. That is almost as attending classes and then at the end of it giving the exams and getting this certificate. So, the actual process of doing or getting registered is something you all must know. It is said, since I am into this field now and I'm dealing with research, it is said a good guide is half your PhD done. Now, what do I mean by good guide? Good guide in the sense the guide who will be able to give you time, whose mental wavelength matches with yours, who is able to understand your innovations and is able to give you more inputs into what you have done. But that doesn't mean that anybody who is guiding you will not help you. Every guide definitely has got more experience in his or her hand, and definitely that person will be able to guide you much better. Now, how do we go about it? Now, the eligibility I have told you, you must be a postgraduate. The actual process I have told you, the technicalities of this process of getting into research or getting the admission as a research scholar, I have told you in short till now. Now, the next thing that comes to everyone's mind is like how to decide on a research topic. The first and foremost thing, before even going for the interview, you must tentatively think about at least two topics. At least two topics. Because if the panel says, no, this is overworked or this topic is almost exhausted, so do you have anything else to say about any other topic? So you must be ready as researchers. You must know that, yes, if I fail with this topic or if this topic is not accepted, I have another topic at hand. I'm ready with it. So that is what we have to do as research scholars. Now, going about, I have already spoken much about the technical issues. Now, deciding on a research topic, knowing about the various funding agencies again is a technical thing which you can find on the UGC website. Okay, there are some funding agencies of UGC. There are some major minor research projects which are funded by UGC. Because let us not talk only about PhD research. The word research covers the entire, it's an umbrella term covered for everything that you do, like MPhil, your PhD, or minor or major research projects as well. So there are certain funding agencies also which will help you to do your minor project, your major projects. Even University of Mumbai provides funding for the minor research projects. So let us not keep this only up to PhD. I would also like, because some of you have already done and some of you are pursuing it. So there are various funding agencies also which you should know. Now, some very important aspects of doing research is, when you want to decide on a topic, the first thing that should come to your mind is, what actually is, these are some of the questions, okay, that matters a lot. These are the questions which you should think. Now, the topic that you are going to zero down on, the topic that you will decide, you have to first think about what is knowable in that topic. What is there that can be known? What is there in the topic that can be explored? What is there in the topic which will be innovative or help the generations coming behind me? So what exactly is knowable in my topic? What exactly is like what I can explore in this topic? This is the first question every research scholar must have. What is knowable? And the next question that follows is, what is the relation of the knower to the known? Whatever you have known till now, how can you correlate it with the topic that you are going to select or the topic that you are going to opt for? How is it that it will help your research project complete? How will it enhance the structure of your research project? The fundamental research questions in any case should be these questions, like, what is there to understand, what is there to know, what is there to explore, and apart from that, you also must think that what do I know and how can I put it, how can I explain it, how do I find various things out, what is new in it, how do I find out, what is the source. For example, I would like to work on one author. How do I know from which site will I get, or from where do I get this information, like from which perspective this topic is studied, or who is working on this topic? How do I know it? From where will I get this information? You must know the source. For example, Shodhganga in Flipnet has Shodhganga. Okay. Now, Shodhganga is one site wherein you can put the name of the author and try to find the information from which all perspective is this writer worked upon. Because till date, this website is very much updated, and every research that is done in India is uploaded as a soft copy on this website. So you will have a clear idea, the research or the topic that you have narrowed down, you will be able to think that, can I really work on this topic or not? How do I choose my topic? The first and foremost thing you have to remember is, your area of interest also matters, and the area of specialization of your guide matters a lot. What is the specialization of your guide? What is your interest in? Okay, there has to be a thread between these two things. If this thread is missing, then PhD is going to lag. Please remember that. That is why whenever you are choosing a topic, if a guide is allotted to you, because the topic that you present in the interview may be changed, it can be changed. Okay, so when you are narrowing the topic of your research, keep in mind the specialization of your guide, his interest as well as your interest. Your mental wavelength has to match so that the work goes on very smoothly. So how do I find out things? Where will I get this information from? Which are the various websites that are available? How do I know whether the topic that I have chosen is not worked by somebody else? So there are many such websites which will help you. You have to first, before you finalize your topic, because see, finalizing a perfect, clear, crisp, simple topic is the way to success. Very long, lengthy, complicated, okay, sentences like Shashi Tharoor will not help you gain your PhD. So you have to keep, or you have to zero down on a topic which is, you have clear ideas, you are focused, you know that it is not work, you know that the primary, the secondary data is available. I will give you a practical example over here because I just don't want to be very theoretical about what I'm saying. The first thing that comes to my mind is, when you have a topic and when you are about to register, I know the anxiety level of students. And this anxiety sometimes, works as a hindrance or a barrier to your research. Now, why am I saying this? There was a student who came to me, was overexcited and wanted to work because there's very less, research done on children's fiction. She wanted to explore children's fiction. I said, okay, I'm okay with it. Now, who are the authors? I said, she told me names of 4 authors. I said, fine. I have no issues because they're very contemporary writers. I am okay. But the first thing you must find out as a research scholar is whether the primary source is available. And if the primary source is available, whether at least some secondary sources are available or not, that is what you have to find out. She was like, no ma'am, I have just read the stories, they're fabulous and I just want to work on them, so please don't say no. I said, I'm not saying no, I'm saying you just check whether the primary source is available or not. She said, madam, the primary source is available online, I have already seen, I have read some of the books and I'm very much interested in this topic. I said, go ahead then. If secondary source is also available, you go ahead. She said, madam, secondary source is available but not much. So I said, you will be the trendsetter, you will have to pave the path. So just think how much time it will take. Are you ready for that? She said, yes, ma'am. I won't mind. If I'm the first person to write, I'm happy. I said, go ahead then. When the actual process of writing the thesis came her way, it was very difficult for her to express, to write what exactly she wanted to say, because drafting became very difficult for her because no secondary source, not much secondary source was available on the authors that she has chosen. So in spite of telling or making her aware of what the difficulties may be, in anxiety, we should not forget that the primary and the secondary source, the availability of primary source in hand is very essential. So whenever you want to choose a topic, please see whether the books, the primary sources are available or not. And they should be sufficient. The primary source, when you are to see, you have to delimit the scope of their topic as well. You have to delimit the scope. Many students, when they register, the phase that they want to study is maybe from 1950 to 2000. It's a vast thing. You have to delimit the scope of your study. Until and unless you don't delimit the scope of your study when selecting the topic or finalizing the title of your research, you will not be able to achieve what you want to. Because once you finalize your title and it is approved in RRC, okay, the Research and Recognition Committee of any university, you cannot change a single alphabet from the title. You cannot change the articles. You cannot change the dates. You cannot change the title at all. If you want to change the title, again, the entire process of facing the RRC has to be done. And it is very, very not only tedious, but time consuming as well. And that is why when a title or a topic is to be finalized, we have to think about delimiting the scope of your study. Think about the sources that are available, whether the primary source is available or not, whether the secondary source is available or not. All these things we have to think. We have to study. A lot of rough work goes before you register. Now, when I said that what is there that can be known, what is knowable? Okay, so this is an ontological question and it refers to various social realities that are to be studied. It also deals with various assumptions when we are willing to work and we understand the text that we are going to study. So always remember, when you are assuming or you are an aspirant of any research, be it minor, major, or MPhil, PhD, you have to study, do a lot of homework first before you finalize or narrow down on a topic. Now, when we are discussing all these things, you also have to think about what sort of relation that is there between the knower and the known can be explored. You just simply have to ask a question like, what do I know? How much do I know about this topic? I cannot just assume that yes, this work will be good. If you just assume and then fix a title, or come to a final as like finalizing of the title, it may be very, very risky, because as a research scholar you have to perceive reality. Perceive reality. What do I mean by perceive reality? I mean just see the availability, whether whatever you are willing to search, research, whatever is already searched, okay, is available or not. So this reality you cannot ignore. Okay, please keep all these things in mind, because I'm talking about actual process of PhD. What you should do and what you shouldn't do. You shouldn't be just assuming things. You have to be practical. You have to work well in advance before you register. Because once you register, you cannot back out. Please remember that. You cannot back out. Once you register, you cannot back out. And this intellectual framework that you are going to build of your research will definitely help you finish your PhD at the earliest. Now, the other aspect of the technical thing I would like to mention here is, during the sixth pay, or before the seventh pay came into existence, it was possible to submit your thesis within 2 years. Okay, 2 years was the maximum period. Now they have increased it to 3 years. Before 3 years, completion of 3 years, you cannot submit your thesis. So your target should be achieved within this 3 years. 6 months of your pre-PhD coursework, and after that, 2.5 years for your research, for your PhD. So your time framework, the structure, the skeleton of your thesis, and the theoretical framework I'm talking about should be ready in your mind, at least in your mind, like what exactly you want to do. Because this theoretical framework I'm talking about basically depends on the shoulders of the previous researcher. What has somebody, or what have the other researchers done earlier? Your research, 50, why 50%? More than that, 70% will depend on the previous researchers. How the other scholars, how the other researchers have worked and given various, theories, or propounded various theories and researched this area. This entire framework you have to work or explore in a new way. Already, see, when you use the word research, it is already searched. So what different are you going to do? In theoretical framework, you just have to prove that you are going to do something different than whatever is already into existence. So the aim of this new work should be to support, either to support or either refute it, or propound new theories, or talk about new theories, or explore something very new. Be innovative, because already whatever is searched, you cannot put the same data in your thesis or in your research project. You have to be different. You have to be unique. You have to bring in some new perspectives. Okay, so this should be clearly defined in your research proposal. The theoretical framework is like the skeleton on which your entire thesis will be framed. So please keep in mind, when we are discussing the theoretical framework, you have to either support the previous research that is being carried out, was carried out, or hello, hello, am I audible? I think
Yes,
there's some.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
ma'am,
ma'am.
you are
Yes.
audible.
Fine. So this theoretical framework, a researcher literally stands, on the shoulders, you may say, of the previous researchers for what they have done, what the scholars have done, and then you are going to propound something new. So your theoretical framework of what you are going to do should be very, very clear. it should be very transparent for you that yes, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I want to do, and this is what I will be able to do, the hypothesis. Okay. Now, when you're actually doing research, there are various things that really affect your theoretical framework. The secondary sources that are available, many a times you'll realize that these secondary sources do not convey what you want to convey. And if they don't, it is good for you because you can convey then what you want to. But then expressing, drafting, putting it into draft, and the technicalities of the thesis. One more thing I would like to precisely mention here is the changing MLA style sheets. From the 7th edition to the 8th edition, now we have the 9th edition, things are becoming very easy. The technical things, the technical aspects of research are becoming much more easy with internet, with the ocean of information that you have in front of you. But then again, you have to think about the authenticity. You have to think about what you are actually reading, whether it really works out. You have so much information overloaded these days. What is to be chosen, how it is to be framed, how it is to be put is really very difficult these days, I feel. Because so much of information is there online, so many websites are there. But on the other side, I also feel it's a blessing in disguise because you have a lot of stuff in front. When I finished my PhD long back in 2007, we had to visit the libraries physically, go to various libraries, go to Hyderabad to visit a library, okay, go to Shanti Niketan. Now, all these things we have done as researchers, but you all are quite lucky that you can have the resources in front of you. So this theoretical framework that you are going to prepare, it can be more perfect as compared to what we have done as researchers because you have got various avenues open in front of you. Even Microsoft Word gives you, when you are drafting your thesis, when you are typing it, there are many technical aspects that are available on Microsoft Word, wherein while preparing bibliography, because bibliography is one of the toughest thing to really do or to maintain. So now you have got so many things in hand which can really work out. Even Word document makes provisions wherein you can just type the author's name once, and it will be stored in. The next time you just type the initial, the entire the bibliographical details of the author will immediately be copy pasted, which we didn't have a provision. So on one hand, research is becoming easier because of the technical facilities that we have, the electronic and the gadgets that are there. It's on one hand becoming very easy. But then there is the other drawback that is there is the cutthroat competition that we have because of the changing policies of the government, because of the changing scenario. Now, if everybody wants to do research, even the MA students wants to pursue research immediately after they finish their PG, because they know now, because PhD is mandatory to become a lecturer after 2021 in universities. When we go for interviews, we realize that there are teachers who have done NetSet as well as PhD, and still they are, updating themselves. This updating thing has to go on. So when you're preparing a theoretical framework, please remember that you have to give something new. Something new has to be explored. Now, coming to the review of related literature. Suppose now your title is finalized, okay? You have narrowed down, you have delimited the scope of your study, your title is fixed, okay? Your guide is ready, and your guide has told you to prepare a final synopsis. Now, why is this preparing final synopsis very important? Why is this final synopsis that you are going to submit again for your registration very important for your future research, I mean? Because whatever you have said in your hypothesis, you have to prove your hypothesis in the actual thesis. That is what you have to do. And that is why review of literature when you write, or hypothesis when I'll discuss it later, but a review of literature, now this makes for the foundation. It is a stepping stone for the research scholars. Review of literature, the related literature to the topic that you have chosen. For example, you want to work on Mahesh Dattani's plays. I'm just giving you an example. Okay. Now, I am going to find review of the related literature concerned with drama theatre. Not only Mahesh Dattani, but the entire Indian English literature and the genre drama I'm going to explore. Because this makes for the foundation, the stepping stone for the new research that is on the way. One should have a bird's eye view of the work done in the area of the research which he or she wants to explore. And that is why I said when we are having review of related literature, we can definitely take help from various websites like Shodhaganga, for example, wherein this website will at least tell you like how many research scholars have worked on Dattani, or from which perspectives have they worked, and what different definitely you can do. An idea you will get when you think about all these things. So you must have bird's eye view to work on the area of research which is still not very much explored or overworked. See, I feel nothing in this world is overworked. People still work on Shakespeare. People still work on everything that is worked upon from years and ages together. So nothing is old or nothing is overworked as such. But when it comes to getting registered, people say, oh, why do you want to work on this author? He's so exhausted. Or the other trend that is there is the bestsellers. There are the students who are aspiring to do research, PhD, I mean, and they come up with various contemporary writers. Amish Tripathi is one of them. Shobha Day is there. Then you have Chetan Bhagat. And then when it comes to the university teachers, or they feel like something beyond it students should do. Many a times these topics are not accepted, or these bestseller writers are not accepted. But then there are many who have already worked on Chetan Bhagat. There are many who have already worked on Shobha Day. It depends on the panel. If you have very senior teachers, they will always say that you must go in with something which actually is going to help the future generation. But then this review of literature I was talking, the related literature I was talking about, is after understanding the work that is done, the research scholar should think of taking a step further in a different direction, in a new direction in the research, which he or she is considering to do. So review of related literature will be a sort of roadmap. It will be a sort of roadmap for this new direction, which will definitely help you chalk out the research proposal. Okay, you can just think about various other aspects of the like review of related literature, because when you are writing or planning this roadmap, you have to be very careful. You have to think about what new am I going to do, how am I going to present it. Now coming to the very next thing, that is hypothesis. Now, why is hypothesis very important and significant when you are writing a research proposal? And why should you take utmost care when you are going to write hypothesis? Because hypothesis, okay, this makes the research like there has to be a research question basically. There has to be a research problem basically. If you don't have the problem, it cannot be solved. If there is no problem, there is no research. If there is no problem, there is no solution. If there is no problem, there is no answer to it. And that is why this makes for the research question. Hypothesis makes for a research question. And what is the question? Whatever the question may be, you have to answer it in your thesis. Whatever you are assuming, you have to prove in your thesis. And that is why, while framing hypothesis as research scholars, you have to be very careful. Because you have to, whatever you have mentioned, for example, 10 points you have mentioned in your hypothesis, at least 6 points you should be able to prove in your thesis. Otherwise, your hypothesis that you have claimed in your proposal, research proposal, is of no use. There may be a question that may arise later on, that whatever you have said in your research proposal as a hypothesis is not seen anything in your research, in your thesis, actual thesis. That is why when you are drafting hypothesis, when you are writing hypothesis, you have to be very careful. If there is no problem, then there is no need to solve it. Okay, and hence no research can be done. So first of all, try to understand what new can be done. try to understand or identify the various problems, the various issues, or various theories that can be implemented, or various perspectives that can be explored in the thesis, in the research. So first thing you have to identify while framing hypothesis is the question. What is the question, or what are the questions? What are the various doubts? Okay, and try, like, ask questions to yourself. Whenever you are finalizing a topic, writing hypothesis, it has to be, you have to be very inquisitive about your own self. Do a lot of self introspection on the topic and ask questions to yourself, raise doubts, and then apply the deconstructionist approach to the questions that you have in your mind. Like, yes, why am I going to do this research? Will it be helpful to the other researchers when they read or go through my thesis? Will it be helpful for them? Ask questions like, am I going to do something new? Ask questions like, what is my research actually going to be? How it is going to be? What approaches I am going to study? What theories am I going to apply? What am I going to propound? So while drafting a hypothesis, as many questions as you have, it is good for you because it will help you in writing the hypothesis in very clear, simple statements. Always remember, as researchers, please draft your entire proposal in very simple, lucid language. Don't go in for words which are very heavy, or words which are, or even sentences, lengthy sentence construction. You should never do. I always tell my students, keep it simple. The more simple it is, the more easy for you to finish it. And that is why your proposal should be self-explanatory. Your proposal should be compact. Your proposal should be realistic. Your proposal, I'm repeating, your proposal must be realistic so that you will be able to complete your research. If you want to do something extraordinary, then just don't bother about the length of duration that you might need to complete your research. So while framing hypothesis or writing hypothesis, this is a process of doing research. Okay, theoretical framework, review of literature, then hypothesis. So this makes for the research question. Try to find, or imagine the questions that may come. Okay, try to apply your own theories to it and write the hypothesis. Okay, in very, very simple, in very clear statements, because whatever you are writing as hypothesis, you will have to prove them in the thesis. Am I clear till here? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
My speed is okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
Absolutely
going a
fine.
little fast.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah, I'm going a little fast so that I'll be able to cover what I actually want to cover in the given time
Fine,
period.
ma'am. It's
Now,
going.
yeah, yeah, okay. So, in case if you have any doubts till I finish this, you may just ask. You can stop me and you may ask me, or maybe at the end of the presentation, 15 minutes I can keep, and we can go in for question answer session as well.
Exactly. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Now, hypothesis is about I was talking about. So just see to it that the hypothesis is a clear. It's written in very clear statements. There is no ambiguity. There is no redundancy. There are no jargons in it. Keep it very simple, very lucid, very plain, so that your target is achieved. When I'm talking about the target, I remember M.K. Naik's words. Once I had written a letter to him. I'm very fortunate that I could speak to him. He's no more, but then uh, I just spoke to him. So he wrote me in a letter that I was pursuing my research then. So he said PhD is a junction, not a terminus. Okay, you have to go far away, like you have to go beyond the junction. The journey is far to the minor and the major research projects. But this is the PhD will be the stepping stone because you will have experience of doing research. You will know what is Emily style sheet. You will know what is citations. You will know what is bibliography. You will know what is intent paragraph. You will know what is tab. You will know what is where to put inverted commas, where to put dots, and why only 3 dots. All these small details you will learn when you will do PhD. Then you can go in for your major project. So please remember, keep it very simple, keep it very easy, keep it very lucid. Don't go in with, as I said, jargons or redundancy. Keep it very plain and simple. Okay. Now, what is the objectivity, or what are the objectives of doing research? Now, many of us tend to select a topic of research which is very dear to our heart. We also choose depending on the genre that we like to explore or we love or is very close to our hearts again. We tend to select a topic of research not because there is a problem which requires any solution or remedy urgently, but we usually select a topic because we are personally, emotionally, mentally at ease, or at is or we are attached to it. Maybe we are personally or emotionally attached to the topic. For example, there are people who like only poems, poetry. Okay. And they say, ma'am, we would like to do research on verse. There's a very good example which I wanted to give you here is, uh, I had a student who came and met me. He said, madam, I want to do research under your guidance. I said, what are your ideas? What do you want to work? Is there anything that you have on your mind and you would like to discuss with me? He said, ma'am, I would like to work on Arun Pulakar's Jesu. I said, is that the only poem you would like to work? Yes, ma'am, only on one poem. I said, is it practically possible to work only on one poem and write minimum 200 pages? So he said, ma'am, why do I need to write 200 pages? I said, technical side of the thesis also has to be considered. The length of the thesis also has to be considered. You cannot just work on one poem because you like it. And that is why when you are choosing a topic, please remember, though it is very close to your heart, you are emotionally attached with it, keep the objective of the research very clear in your mind. The very first and foremost thing to keep in mind is you have to detach yourself from what you like or depersonalize what you like, because doing research does not mean only doing what you like. It also depends on what the specialization of your research guide is. Even your research guide should be interested in that topic. Even your research guide should be able to guide you in that topic. If you are stuck, he or she should be able to pull you off from that problem. So the first and foremost thing you must always do when you are, keeping the objectivity of doing research in your mind is try to detach yourself only from one genre, because maybe you have not explored much, maybe you have not studied much, or maybe you have not read much. Since you like only poetry, you must have read only poetry, or drama, so only drama, and that too only one playwright. So depending only on one playwright and then going in for research, a playwright maybe who has written only 2 or 3 plays. Again and again, I would like to emphasize, please be very sure of the primary and the secondary source. Be very sure that the primary source is in your hand, or at least readily available. One example, one practical example here I would like to mention is the fiction of Kamala Markandeya, A Study, or the fiction of Kiran Desai, A Study, or maybe the fiction of Arvind Adiga, A Study. ऐसे topics आते हैं. Okay, such sort of topics do come for research. Now, if you say the fiction of Arvind Adiga, A Study, he is a very contemporary writer. He is writing novels. By the time you are on the verge of submission, if another novel pops up from his side, it is your moral responsibility, your moral duty to include the latest, the most contemporary novel also in your thesis. Okay. That is why, while choosing a topic, when you say the fiction of Arvind Adiga, A Study, the fiction, that means the complete fiction that he has written till now. Everything that he has written, be it short story, be it children's fiction, be it detective, domestic, or any sort of work that he has written, you have to cover everything. And that is why delimiting the scope and making the title perfect is very essential. So keep your objectivity very clear. Just don't choose the topic because you have liked one or two works of that author. Read more. Try to find primary and secondary sources, because if you just go in with one writer, and if the writer has got only one or two works at hand and you have liked it, that's why you want to work on it, it becomes very difficult to complete the research then. Because without the primary and secondary source, sufficient primary and secondary source, I don't think so it is easy. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not easy to finish or complete your target or achieve your target. So it is always advised, it's always advised that you must be very, very practical. A good researcher always depersonalizes. He or she always detaches himself from what he has known of one or two authors. He or she has to be emotionally far away from the author he or she is choosing for his research. If you have thoroughly read everything of the author, if there are at least 6 to 7 novels that he or she has written, or three anthologies of poetry that are published, then it is okay, that is fine. But just reading a little and then having infatuation about or falling in love with the author won't really suffice for doing research. So you have to be very, very specific about choosing a topic and keeping the objective in front of you. Please remember that. Okay. Am I clear till here?
Yes, ma'am. Very
Fine.
clear, ma'am.
Okay, good. So see, we have begun with the technical process, like who is eligible, what is the actual process of doing research, how to get registered. In short, I have told those who are aspiring, always keep in touch with the website of the university which you are willing to work from. If you are willing to work from Mumbai universities, keep on, visiting the website now and then, so that you get clear information of the PET examination, of the interviews. One more thing I forgot to tell is, since there are students maybe from French department as well, from other languages as well, I just want like to mention one more aspect before I move on to the plan of research or chapterization. One thing all of us, I just wanted to share is, suppose I have done my MA, okay, in history, but my BA in English, and now I feel that I want to pursue my research in English. So technically, will I be able to do it? Okay. So that these are some of the questions which I would like to answer here, because these are the questions that always come in the minds of many uh, teachers. So yes, definitely you can. There is a technical process for that too. You will have to clear your PET in the subject in which you have done your PG. That is mandatory. Suppose I have done my PG in history, it is mandatory for me to appear for PET examination, PhD entrance test of Mumbai University. I'm just giving you an example of Mumbai University for the time being. And I have to appear for this examination. I have to clear this examination. Then, if I want to change the subject and I want to do my research in English, what do I do then? Then I have to apply to the thesis section as well as the Department of English, which is the research center of the university, for subject change. And there I have to give aptitude test of English. If I clear that aptitude test of English, then I will be able to register from the Department of English. So it is not mandatory that you should do research only in the subject in which you have done your PG. This is another provision which I wanted to talk. During the research process, this is something that you all should know. Okay. So if you have done your PA, for example, in English and your PG in history, you can definitely do your research in English. But I would like to make you aware, when it comes to getting increments or getting benefits, again, there may be a technical difficulty. So during the time you pursue your PhD, side by side, parallelly, you can finish your PG as well in the same subject. So as to avoid any technical difficulties in the future, especially in academics. Now, as the government has already removed the 3 increments or 3 incentives that were given to teachers initially for completing PhD is removed now. I don't think so there should be much difficulty. But it's always better to do PG and do research in the same subject. Okay. So now, how to, we have discussed like what should be your title, how your title should be. It should be very clear, very simple. You have to delimit the scope of your study. Uh, be very, very grammatically apt or grammatically correct when you are framing the title, because that is something is not, which is not going to change forever until and unless you face again a tedious process of RRC. So this is what we have discussed. We have discussed about the review of literature. We have discussed hypothesis and objectivity. Now let us move ahead, a little ahead of the plan of research. How do I plan my research? Usually, with the help of the research guide, you must plan your research. But the research guides have other students as well. So don't just go, very blank and sit in front. Homework, doing homework is essential. Sit at home, do your own work. Okay, try to frame out your own plan, what you actually want to do. Before doing that, go to the library, or even online you can find many theses these days. Just see how the chapterization is done, what the other researcher has done. Your study also, your self study is very essential. So the plan of research, chapterization, okay, also must be well planned. See, research, I feel you can divide into three things. First is data collection, second, the technical process, and third, the planning. If these three steps, if you do perfect, I think within three or within 3.5 years, or maximum 4 years, I think for sure you will be able to complete your thesis. But you will have to do it consistently, because I have seen many students, they are very proud, they are very happy that they have registered. मेरा रजिस्ट्रेशन हो गया है, मैं PhD कर रहा हूँ, बस खत्म बात. They're very happy at it, okay, that I have registered, I'm pursuing my PhD. Whether they do anything for it or not is a different story, and that is why they are not able to do it, finish it off for at least 5-6 years. Some of the students even take 6-7 years, and you keep on paying fees. It hardly takes consistency, okay, perseverance, and your mindset to finish PhD more than anything else, I feel. So let me come to now the plan of research chapterization. How many chapters should be there in your thesis? Yes. If you go in with the standards, if you go in with the general standard, or if you see majority of the theses that are available, you will find that majority of the thesis, they have got 5 chapters, maximum 6. I have seen theses where they have put 7 chapters, 8 chapters also, but I think the standard, okay, standard thesis may have maximum 5 chapters, until and unless it is comparative chapter with more than 3 or 4 authors. If your thesis is on more than 3 or 4 authors, only then your chapterization will definitely by default increase, because you will be studying on individual authors in your thesis as well. So please keep this in mind, that your chapterization scheme will depend on the number of authors that you are going to choose. I always suggest to my students that you should not choose more than 2 authors, even if you are going in for competitive study. Because if you go in for more than 2 authors, then your chapterization is definitely going to be very lengthy. It will definitely increase. That is why your chapterization should be minimum. Okay, keep minimum chapters, like 5 chapters, for example. So normally there are 5 chapters in a thesis, or even in a dissertation. The first usually is introduction. So in this chapter, in the introduction chapter, you should include the theoretical framework of your research. Try to clarify the concepts that you are going to explore in your thesis, whatever your aims and objectives are, your hypothesis, your research questions, and your introduction of the writer. Okay, whichever writer you have chosen, you must introduce the author, the writer you have chosen for your research in this introductory chapter. Try to cover up, try to explore the key terms, the background, the basic concepts. Okay. As I have said, the entire framework, the skeleton of your thesis will be in the first chapter, in the introductory chapter. So it should include this theoretical framework. Introductory chapter actually will pave through your entire thesis. It will tell what your thesis is about. If you have chosen, for example, if you're working on diaspora, so you have to include all the terms, the concepts, the theoretical framework, your aims, objectives, hypothesis, and research questions that you are going to arise or put in your thesis. So introduction chapter is something where you are going to introduce your author, you are going to introduce the key terms, you are going to introduce all those questions which are essential for you to convey it to the further researchers. So just keep that in mind. So introductory chapter will also introduce the authors that you have chosen for your study and the key terms, the key concepts, the background, the theories that you are going to work upon. Okay. And chapter 2 usually goes in with the review of the related literature. The other literature that is available, the theories that are applied, okay, all that can be reviewed. Everything that you can review with the same sort of thread or that you have chosen as your topic. So the conceptual framework, the conceptual notes, or the similar thesis, or the dissertations, journals, the secondary sources, books, anthologies should be mentioned. Okay, it should be annotated with bibliographical records in the chapter. So remember that the foundation or the stepping stone on which you have to stand or walk your path or reach the results of your thesis, okay, should be mentioned in this review of literature. The more clear, the more simple work is done here in this chapter. Usually in review of literature, everything that this genre has, the genre that you have chosen for study, you are going to explore, has to be mentioned in this review of related literature. Similar sort of work that you have chosen, whatever other works are there, you are supposed to mention it here. So review of related literature, okay, you will find that it is very, very easy to write because when you write this review of literature, it is very easy for you to go in with the next chapter, the third and the fourth chapter. Now, what are these third and fourth chapter going to do? This chapter number 3, okay, and chapter number 4, if you have chosen, for example, 2 novels, 3 novels, 4 novels, or you're working on the themes, so you're going to explore, you're going to divide your chapters accordingly. These chapters will be the core chapters, the essential, the most essential part. These chapters will be the heart of your thesis. The research questions, the analysis of the text, okay, the hypothesis that you have already mentioned, whatever you have experimented with in the earlier chapters, you are going to prove it in these 2 chapters. So these 2 chapters will be the core of your thesis. These 2 chapters will focus entirely on the work that you have chosen. It will answer all the questions that came to your mind before you actually chose this topic. Okay, so you have to be very chapter 3 and chapter 4 can be very, very easy because you just have to work on the authors that you have chosen or the themes that you have chosen. So it should be very easy for a research scholar to choose these writers work. If you are going to do thematic study, it is far more easier, but this will happen only when it is approved in the RRC and when you are registered. Okay, so chapter number 3 and 4 will be much more easier as compared to any other chapters. Please remember, when you are choosing authors for your thesis, okay, for your research, choose them in such a way wherein, for example, now if you are doing comparative study and you've got 2 authors, so your chapter 3 will be on one author, chapter 4 will be on the other author, chapter 5 will be comparison between them, and then the 6th will be conclusion. The framework is always like this. First chapter is always introduction and the last chapter is always conclusion. So out of whatever in between you are going to do, that is what you have to work upon. Chapter 1 is introduction, that is fixed, like you have agenda of a meeting. First is welcome and the last is vote of thanks. Similarly, you have the same pattern here. First is introduction and the last is conclusion. So what you have to do is you have to logically link the remaining chapters in between. Even chapter 2 review of related literature and the other chapters like chapter number 3, 4 and 5, for example, if you have comparative study, they will also be logically linked. Okay. Now, another type of study that usually takes place is periodical study. Okay. Age wise or year wise, that sort of study is again, it's very difficult, or pre-independence and post-independence, for example. Here it becomes easy, pre and post you're putting. But when you're having a framework wherein there are years that come, then again, it has to be systematically arranged. So do remember that chapter number 3, 4, and 5, if it is comparative, your fifth chapter will always be comparison between the two authors. And then the sixth will be conclusion. Okay. So the chapterization, okay, normally any guide, okay, would definitely suggest 5 chapters. 5 chapters are sufficient. If each chapter is of 50 pages, for example, or if the introduction chapter is of 30 pages and the remaining chapters are of maybe the chapter 3 and chapter 4 are of 60 pages. So approximately 250 pages is not a big deal when it comes to dividing your chapters. Your introductory chapter may be a little smaller or little lesser as compared to the other chapters, wherein you are actually going to work upon the author's core works that you have chosen. So accordingly, you have to, decide like what are you exactly going to do in your thesis. So chapterization is something which will definitely help you. If you do it perfectly, it will definitely help you in achieving what you are aiming at. Conclusion. I have seen thesis where students just write the gist of whatever they have done in the thesis. That is not the way. Okay, it's just a part of it. Yes, in the entire thesis dissertation, if there is any space where the research scholar is free to write his her view, is this chapter. So the utmost use of this chapter should be done by the research scholars. The research scholars should put or express his or her views in this chapter. This is the only chapter where you have got the scope to mention or write about your own views. There is no need to cite anything in this chapter. You should not give any citations in this chapter. Okay. When there are many theses which come for adjudication, I always find two major mistakes that are done in the conclusion part. One, people give citations here, which is absolutely wrong. It should not be done. There is no need to write citations in the chapter of conclusion. Do not cite anything. Okay, do not use anything in text citations here in this conclusion chapter, because this chapter is totally the chapter of the research scholar. You have got the liberty, you have got the entire scope, the entire space to write what you have experienced, seen, studied, explored, innovated during your research tenure about the study. So here you can give your own interpretations. You can make your own interpretations, your own analysis, and your own conclusions. But never should you give suggestions. Here I have seen in some of the theses that came to me for adjudication, research scholars had given suggestions, recommendations. A student cannot recommend. Okay, suggestion, okay, I can understand, but that is also not appropriate. That is also not required. Okay, so please do not give any suggestions about the author or recommendations about the author's work over here. Students do it. I have seen, I have experienced it, and I have also made a remark that in this chapter, in this conclusion chapter, giving any sort of recommendation or suggestion should be always avoided. This is the place where you have to give your interpretation. Just give me a second. Let me have a sip of water. So here, you are free to give your own analysis, your own interpretation about the works that you have studied. But you must never give recommendations, okay? So whatever you have reviewed in your chapters, the earlier chapters, maybe chapter number 2, 3, 4, or even 5 if it is a comparative study. Okay, so that you should put whatever you have reviewed, whatever you have analyzed, whatever you have interpreted. So the earlier chapters you have whatever you have studied, this is the place that you are going to put your own views and then prove your hypothesis also. Try to connect to the arguments, try to connect to what you have already studied earlier, and then you must beautifully logically end the entire narrative of your research. This is what you must do as students. This is what is expected as a research scholar. Okay, like when we are doing literary reviews, for example, literature reviews, or the review of related literature, there are various ways of doing it. Various ways students do it. That is allowed. But in conclusion, don't go in for citations, don't go in for any suggestions, don't go in for any recommendations. Because you are a research scholar and you are still studying it. Your study is yet not completed. Okay, so always see to it that you are going to frame your entire thesis in such a way which will help the other research scholar to go through it. Okay, so please keep in mind. Now, plan of research or plan of chapterization, I have told about how to decide on a research topic. One more key to deciding on a research topic is always try to find some key concepts or key studies, okay, before you finalize your topic. What would you like to really work on? Take and jot it down on a paper, the key studies, the key factors, the various approaches, okay, the issues and questions that are there, the possible gaps where the thesis or the research is still not explored, and try to explore something new. Try to do something very new. Try to have something which will definitely help you in gaining the seat. You must try to turn a topic into an argument. You should be able to do it. Okay, so when you're doing that, when you're turning your topic into an argument, also try to see that your argument has to be logical, it has to be very practical, it should be acceptable. Okay, now this is about a rough proposal that you are going to prepare. This is the synopsis that you are going to prepare. Whatever I spoke about till now was like a process wherein this is essential for you to get registered. So preparing a research proposal, what I was talking about, or even the thesis, similar photo, like chapterization, what you put in the final synopsis, the same you have to put in your thesis also. You cannot change it. You cannot change the scheme of chapterization. Please keep that in mind. Whatever chapterization scheme you have mentioned in your research proposal, the same chapterization scheme you have to work out in your thesis. You cannot make any changes there whatsoever. Okay, so please, when you're preparing a research proposal, assuming that you have an idea, maybe for the possible research project, keep in mind that yes, it is doable. Second thing is also remember the time and the space that you will be getting. Okay, the time and space availability to a researcher is very essential. You have to work in the stipulated time frame. Further, assuming that when you are preparing suppose the last date of final submission of your synopsis is so and so. Today is 24th, maybe 3rd or 4th of July is the last date. See to it that you prepare your proposal, perfect proposal, at least in 2-3 days. Okay, and after you prepare, because the process is quite lengthy, after you prepare, you type, you take a printout or send the soft copy to your guide. Your guide may be busy, guide will need some time. Also consider that. Also assume, just try to envision what will happen in the future, what may happen. Okay, so when you prepare the synopsis, send it to your guide well in advance. He or she may need 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So you should also keep in mind the time space that is allotted to you, that you have in hand before going in for this technical process of getting registered for research. Okay, all these things you have to keep in mind. Keep the entire material ready with you. Okay, usually what you need to write a research proposal, at least you must have approved supervisor or a research guide, what you call. Okay, so he or she will be able to help you or guide you, because you have to pursue PhD. Whenever you are saying, whenever a student says I'm doing research, I always say, don't say I'm doing research, say I'm pursuing my PhD, because persuasion is something which is essential on both the sides. On your side, 90% as a student and 10% on the guide side. So you are trying to convince your supervisor, okay, with the evidence that you are trying to search, and after you have found it, then you are going to give it to the guide. So it is a continuous process. Okay, it's a continuous process. It's a logical process, and there are certain things which we have to follow. Now, once again, I will just repeat certain things which are very essential for you to complete this entire process. The first is the title. So do not be like, see to it that your title is very simple, very clear, very informative, and it when the product, when your research will be finished, when it will be over, uh, you will not be able to, like, when you submit your synopsis, you will not be able to alter it. So please keep that in mind when you are preparing your title. The argument also should be logical. Your argument also should be sensible, and it should be very concisely drafted in your proposal. The material, the primary, the secondary sources, as I have already mentioned, keep that also in mind, because your primary source is like the foundation. Without the foundation, you cannot build a tower. Keep in mind that this foundation has to be perfect. You must have the entire source, the entire material. Now you will say, Madam, if my topic is not approved, what will I do with the books? Why should I buy so expensive books and keep? I do understand. But only after you prepare a rough synopsis and your topic is approved or it is to be approved, then you can go in with the entire buying original stuff. But trying to understand the author, there are many other sources which you will have to explore. Okay, but do it. Without reading, it's very difficult to go in with a very adaptable or adjustable or sensible topic, I feel. Then also keep in mind that you have to delimit the scope of your topic so as to finish it well in time. Then I also have spoken about chapterization and the conclusion till now. Bibliography is something which is a Herculean task to carry out. Okay, nothing can be much more difficult than bibliography, because the various sources that are available. But I think MLA 9th edition has made it very, very easy for every one of us to understand and to draft and to put the proposal in the right format, because it has become much more easier. Initially, long back, 2 decades ago, the footnotes and endnotes were a mess. Okay, then it came, the 7th edition, the 6th edition came, the 7th edition came, 8th edition came. Now we have 9th edition. Online resource, how to draft online resources, how to put online resources, how to put web resources. Now, as research scholars, you can also use YouTube resources. YouTube interviews also can be used in the research. Now, how to address them, how to put them in your bibliography, how to write them in your bibliography. All these questions will be answered in MLA style sheet 9th edition. And it has become quite easy. It has become quite accessible. Everybody can have access to it, right? So whatever online resources you have got, whatever, see, initially we used internet, no doubt about it, but we didn't have access to all such resources that are freely, easily, very cheap, at cost, available to all of us these days. So you may definitely take help of all these resources that are in hand. Now, once you are working on the thesis, when you actually, now this was the initial process till now. When you start working on the thesis, now, for example, you have finished your pre-PhD coursework, you have got the certificate, you have started working on your thesis, now you are writing it, for example. Now, what is it that you will take utmost care? What utmost care will you take of? The first and foremost thing is, whichever source, you pick up any material, you take any material, you use any material, please see to it you make different folders and keep a track of it, or below every article that you have picked up or chosen from the internet, please make a folder. Below the article, you must always copy paste the home address, the address line of the article, so that it becomes convenient for you to put it in your thesis. You see, I'm going to come to that topic now, which is very, very essential for all of us to discuss. Now, when you are going to, use some material written by somebody else, what is also known as the secondary source, you have to give due credit to that individual. If you don't do it, it is called as plagiarism, right? Now, I just want to talk about research ethics and research morals and ethics. I didn't put anything on my slide because this one word is sufficient to express everything that is not moral or that is not ethical. So all of us as research scholars are quite aware of this word plagiarism. Now, what is plagiarism? Plagiarism is writing somebody else's thoughts, okay, or copying somebody else's thoughts or draft and claiming it to be yours. In the other way, I can say not giving due credit to the original author is plagiarism. Take something from somebody, and you don't give due credit to that individual. That is plagiarism. Technically speaking, these days, cut, copy, paste, edit, right click, synonym. Okay. All these things have been tried and tested by various researchers. I'm not exaggerating, but I'm telling you all the facts. There are cases which come to us of plagiarism, and it becomes very difficult, The entire chapters, as it is, they are pasted. I am of very firm belief that only hard work reaps success. Hard work reaps fame. Hard work reaps what you really want to achieve as a good teacher or as a good individual. All the universities have made it mandatory that before you submit your thesis, there has to be a plagiarism check. In this plagiarism check, 5 to 7% or 10% is allowed, because we use quotations of any author or directly from a book, and though we have given the bibliography, it may show, okay, or maybe suppose, for example, I have written an article, okay, my article is published in one journal, again I'm working with this on the same author, okay, the same topic, and I have written from my own article, I have copy pasted in another article, so it will show as plagiarism, though it is self plagiarized. That is why university bodies have given exemption of 7 to 10%. Now, this 7 to 10%, it comprises of self-plagiarism, maybe quotations, maybe certain things which you have taken from internet. Always see to it that you keep a track. See, whatever you take, whatever sources you use, please mention those sources in bibliography. There is no harm in mentioning it. If you mention in the bibliography, I think there shouldn't be any problem with this, aspect of plagiarism. Whatever you take from any source, make different folders in your computer. If you, browse and you find some good article which is relevant to your research, store that article in the same name, okay, and rename the folder with the name of that author. Put the date, okay, on which you have accessed. Why am I saying so is because every time even the author may update his article, okay, so whatever you have accessed now may be changed after few months, maybe 2 months, 4 months, it might have changed, it might be changed. So always keep a track of the dates when you have accessed or browsed that article. This will help you in preparing your bibliography in a very, very smooth way. Always these folders should be arranged. See, alphabetically, automatically it gets arranged. There is no doubt about it. But put dates also so that it will be convenient for you. that you have accessed this article on this date. What all should you say? Which details should you say if you have taken something from a journal? You should always keep the name of the journal intact, okay, the year of publication, the issue, the content, and the page numbers. You must always jot it down in a register and keep, so that the entire process of research will be very, very easy. It will help you to make your bibliography in a very swift way. Okay, so a list of key primary and secondary texts you intend using should be appended, okay, to the proposal, because this is something that is expected. This appendices or appended the text or information of the primary and secondary sources is essential to write. So please keep in mind that though again and again this list will be provisional, it will be temporary, it will keep on changing till the end of the day, till your thesis goes for printing. It will keep on changing. Mark my words. Because every time you write something, okay, you feel, oh, this also can be added. Okay, this is where I have typographical errors are okay, like understood. Typographical errors may happen. Another very essential part of drafting a thesis I would like to mention in this process is, please keep uniformity in the way you write or draft. For example, one of my students was working on Gita Hariharan. Okay. In the thesis, at one place he had written her spelling as Gita. At the other place, he has written her name as Gweta. At the third place, he had written it as Geetha, Gwetha. This is not acceptable. There has to be uniformity in your entire thesis. In your entire thesis, even in your entire synopsis, there has to be uniformity. Okay, please remember that. Wherever you are going to use abbreviations, those abbreviations you have to notify in the beginning of your thesis that these are the abbreviations that you are going to use in the entire thesis. My suggestion would be, like, abbreviations should be most probably avoided as far as possible. If they are not going to be used repeatedly, kindly do not go in for such sort of usage of abbreviations if possible. If you are going to use it very, very frequently, then it is okay, understood. But if it is not, then try to avoid it, because such sort of practice definitely gives a very shabby look to your thesis as well. I feel, using short forms again and again. So try to be precise. Okay, try to be precise. Try to be very clear. Be simple and lucid in your construction of sentences. Don't go in for very lengthy sentences. Okay, there are students I have seen 4-5 lines they write. One sentence is of 4-5 lines. That is not expected from them. So all such things, very minute details, you will have to work upon when you are going to do research. Or when you say you want to do research, all these things must be kept in mind. Okay. So there are 8 stages in the research process. The first is try to identify the problem, what the problem is. Then try to review the entire literature. Okay, review of literature. Then try to go in with the setting of research questions or research objectives, as I have said, research hypothesis, as I have said. Then go in with the theoretical framework, or also what I have mentioned is choosing the study design or the framework or the skeleton of your research. Okay, decide on a very plain and simple design of your research, the research structure. Okay, the chapterization. And the most important part is collecting data, as I was mentioning just now, processing, analyzing data, avoiding plagiarism, trying to be ethical and moral when you are drafting your thesis. All these things, as research scholars, we all have to take cognizance of, because see, collecting data, again, I just would like to talk about it for 2-3 minutes. Now, collecting data, you have to keep in mind in the entire process of research, you have to keep in mind that primary source, you must have a hard copy. I always suggest my students, primary source, whatever primary source is there, whatever you are going to use. Suppose you have chosen Mahesh Dattani. You have selected some of his plays, like maybe Dance Like a Man, On a Muggy Night in Mumbai, or maybe Do the Needful. Okay. whichever plays you have chosen of Mahesh Dattani. Apart from that, also if he has published any plays, you must buy those books. Having a hard copy in hand is very essential. Without hard copy, without the primary source in hand, I don't think so anybody of us can do research. Howsoever techno savvy you are, howsoever you feel that you are, you can use the virtual screen very well, I am sure that until and unless you don't have it in your hand, you will not be able to really get the worth of it. So please buy those books. Okay, don't go in for xeroxing or photocopying those pages. It's available online, so I'll just take a printout and then read it. No, go in for the original, because that will also give you a sense of satisfaction that yes, you have read it. And time and again you will have to refer to that book when you're doing your research. Not one time, 100 times you will have to go back to the page. So please remember, whenever you are taking article from any journal, please remember to, if you are going to take it hard copy, please remember to take a photocopy of the front page, of the content page, of the editorial page, and then the entire article. Otherwise, for bibliography, it becomes very, very difficult. So, some of the most important steps I have been mentioning is like collecting data, secondary source, the authenticity of the secondary source you have to check before you use it in your thesis. Processing and analyzing data again is one of the most important steps, and then the writing of the actual thesis or the report. These are some of the most important the stages of writing a research proposal or research. Okay, so please keep in mind that writing the thesis will be the last step of your research process. When you have entirely read the primary source, you have collected the entire data, you have done the technical process, then this will be the last stage. And it will be, and always keep in mind, when you finish drafting your first chapter, give that entire chapter to your research guide, request him or her to go through it. Once he or she gives you a green signal and says, yes, this is the right way, this is the right track you are working on, you may go ahead. Or if there are any suggestions, for example, uniformity, there has to be uniformity, logical linking in the chapters as well. Then definitely there will be suggestions from your guide. And for the entire thesis, the same guideline you will be able to use. So be in touch with your guide. Don't write the entire thesis and give it to your guide. Sir, I have prepared the entire thesis. Don't shock your guide like that. Okay, be in touch, because this is also the most important process. I am just talking about all the other things, other minor details of doing research. You must always be in touch with your guide. That doesn't mean you must pester, but then at least once in a month, whatever you have done, whatever 8-10 pages you have worked on, or one chapter you have finished, or whatever your progress of the work is, you must tell at least once in a month, or twice in in 2 months, once in 2 months. So communication has to be there, persuasion has to be there. And as I have mentioned, don't be very happy that you have just registered. You have to actually work on it. Okay, now this was the bibliography that I had prepared, but now the 9th edition has already come. So this is how you should work on. This is the column. This is how you should prepare the column. Okay, for your 9th edition of MLA style sheet. Just make a small tabular form. Every time you cannot refer to MLA style sheet, open and check, open and check. So just put it in a simple tabular form. Okay, like what and how am I supposed to write? If this I am talking about the bibliography. Now, if the book is with one author, there is a single author who has written the entire book. How am I going to mention the name of the author? So I will write the last name, put a comma. I will write the first name, full stop. Then title of the work, the publisher, year of publication. So likewise, the entire columns you should prepare of the 9th edition now. Still you are supposed to register. So definitely majority of all of you rather will be using MLA style sheet 9th edition. So go in with it, prepare one small table for yourself, keep the table entirely in front of you. Now there are small technical details. For example, the intent tab that you give, okay, should be for the quotation which is for more than 3 lines. If the quotation is of 3 lines, you just have to put it in the paragraph, include it in the paragraph itself with a comma and an inverted commas. You cannot put it separately. Okay, this goes technically. You can just, if the quotation is lengthy, then you can put an intent tab only on the left side. Right side, there is no need to put this tab. So all these technical details you will get in the MLA style sheet. So study it. Your MLA style sheet, okay, will be like a Bible. It will be as good as a Bible. You will have to refer to it very, very religiously. It will be like a sacred book which you refer to very religiously now and then. Again and again, you must read the MLA style sheet. And when you are reading, please make a note of it. Please put it this way in tabular form. If there are two authors, how am I going to write? If there are three or more authors, how am I going to write? If the book is with editor as author, how I should write the bibliography? Similar sort of uh, content you should keep in front of your eyes. Keep it as your screensaver so that you can, every time whenever you open your laptop or your maybe desktop or your mobile, you will go through it and it will be by heart till the time you finish your thesis. I think technically you will be perfect. Now these are some of the things which I had prepared, but I don't think so I'll be able to speak on this much because it's almost 11:47 now. But this is another thing. This is one of the most important thing which you should do in the process of your research. Prepare a tabular form, make a list, and how you are going to write something if you take from TED, even YouTube, for example, or any other online resources that you must definitely mention in your thesis, which are also called as web resources these days. Okay, so web resources, or if you're taking something from the newspaper, online newspaper, even those references you have to give. All this detailing, all this minute details, meticulous work has been done in the ninth edition. It is available online as well. You can definitely go in for the soft copy, read it, download it, take a printout, because getting the original copy is quite difficult. You won't get it immediately, but it's available online in soft copy. You can definitely go in with it. Okay. So if you have any thing to discuss in the technical process or anything of what I have discussed till now, you can ask me. There are, I think, 11 minutes now to go. 10 minutes, I promise I'll give you all 15 minutes, but now uh, I think I have 11 minutes. So you all can ask me questions if you have.
Oh, yes. So now we are open for question answer session. Ma'am, I guess there is one question raised from Dr. Mukund Ravedevalia. I'm sorry for the wrong pronunciation. Okay, ma'am. So the question is about the chapterization in the dissertation, especially second chapter of review of literature. Having mentioned the review of literature in the research proposal, is it necessary to allot a full-length independent chapter to review of literature in the thesis? What should be the content of the chapter?
I think, ma'am,
Yeah, yeah. Tell me.
Shashti,
Hello.
are you able to read the question? Please read
Hello.
it once again.
Yes, yes, I'm reading it once again.
I'm here.
So the question, yes, ma'am, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're audible. Audible, audible.
So the question is about the chapterization in dissertation, especially the second chapter, review of literature. Having
Krishna ma'am.
mentioned the review of literature,
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
I have read the question. It's there in the chat box, right? So
yes,
the question is about chapterization in the dissertation, especially the second chapter of review of literature. See, it's not necessary or mandatory to have one entire full-length chapter in a review of literature. Many of the universities do have it in the prescribed format that there has to be an entire chapter. But here in Mumbai University, we don't have. We usually keep just the introduction chapter and then 3 chapters on the author, depending on what sort of topic has been chosen. Okay. And the review of literature we usually cover in the first chapter itself. Okay. Okay. And then what was the second question? Research proposal. Is it necessary to? Okay. What should be the content of the chapter? Okay. And won't there be an issue of plagiarism? No, there won't be an issue of plagiarism because you are not going to write or pick up anything from any other author. You are just going to make a mention of the work of the author. So there is no question of plagiarism here. You are not going to quote as it is from somebody else. See, when does plagiarism happen? You are going to take something entirely, one whole paragraph from somebody else's article, okay, and you are not going to give any due justice or reference to it, then it is plagiarism. Otherwise, I don't think so you can call it plagiarism at all. It won't fall in the category of plagiarism.
Yes, ma'am, very much clear to that point. So, ma'am, our next question is how to cite the information taken from the domain of traditional knowledge which is not protected under the patent and other mainstreams of IPRs?
Okay, let me see the question. Okay,
Yes,
how
ma'am.
to cite the information taken from the domain of traditional knowledge, which is not protected under patent or other mainstream IP. See, wherever you take, wherever you take this information from, okay, whichever domain, whether it is traditional, whether it is very contemporary, whether it is protected, not protected, whether it is copyrighted or not, all these things, wherever, whichever domain you use, your only responsibility as a research scholar would be to give due credit to the original author by mentioning him or her in the bibliography. And these citations, how to cite this, how to write, work cited, it's the usual format. Now in the ninth edition you will find a clear guideline over it. So I don't think so it should be a problem when you are citing anything from a traditional knowledge domain. But again, the question of authenticity will surely rise here. If you are going to use anything from a domain of traditional knowledge which is not protected under the patent or any mainstream IPRs, there is a question again of authenticity. First thing, you have to check that. Second thing, even if you are going to use it from intellectual property rights of the mainstream blogs, maybe for example, you will have to definitely give the reference. You will have to make a note of it in the bibliography to avoid any sort of issue of plagiarism. That is what
Right.
you have to do as a scholar.
Yes, ma'am. So there was one question related to admission criteria of part-time PhD program.
We
What are
don't have a part-time PhD here in Mumbai at least. It was there available earlier, but now it is called full-time. Though you are, suppose you are working somewhere, okay, in a college, for example, if you are a lecturer in a college and you are pursuing your PhD, even then it is called a full-time PhD. Won't be called a part-time PhD.
right? So there's one question from Srinivas. What happens if our hypothesis is not proved?
See,
Approved, it
usually,
should be, I
usually it
guess.
doesn't happen that your hypothesis is not true.
Okay.
Knowingly or unknowingly, you may reach the same conclusion. See, you may not firmly put it that this was the hypothesis and this is the conclusion. But when you are drafting your hypothesis, when you are drafting your conclusion, you must read what hypothesis you had claimed in your synopsis, so that at least a few you can definitely mention. It doesn't happen that whatever you have written, see, it's not necessary because it is called hypothesis, it is tentative. You must have written
Right.
10 hypotheses. That does not mean all the 10 hypotheses must be correct. But out of 10, at least 5, 6 must be achieved. That is what is expected. Okay.
Right. Very true. So then there's one question by Dr. Bishaka. When writing a research paper, how many references should we be giving?
See, there is no criteria as such that how many references should be given. If you are and if you are writing something original, if nobody else has written, there is no secondary source. So from where will you give the reference? There is no need to give the reference except the primary source you will mention then. So there is no such hard and fast rule that you have to give references as many. Like it's not like you have to give 2 references or 3 references or 4 references. It depends on how many sources you have given or used. How many sources? Suppose you have used 4 resources, okay, from 4 other books. So in the bibliography, in the reference, you will have to mention it. If you have used any material, any source or any stuff from that article, then you will have to give those references. Otherwise, it's not mandatory as such that you have to give references. It depends on how much you have used.
Right.
Ma'am, is it
The,
possible for you to turn on your camera? I mean, we would love to see you while you
Yeah.
talk. Is it too difficult? Then it's okay.
No. I'll,
Okay.
I'll definitely. Just give me a second. I'll start.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
all right. So there was one question. Suppose we have to mention so many names, so many books in
Yes,
thesis.
Swati madam.
Considered as plagiarism. Am I audible?
Yeah, very much.
Hello. Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
you're
So
audible.
there's a question from Nisha. Yes.
Yes, please.
Suppose we have to mention so many names, so many books in thesis. So would it be considered as plagiarism?
No. When you give due credit to the author from whose work you have written anything in your thesis, it won't be plagiarism. In plagiarism,
Yeah.
bibliography, see, when you write the source, when you mention the name of the author and you have given credit to that author, then there is no question of plagiarism at all. Okay.
Right.
So you can stay relaxed about it. There is no question of it.
Okay. Will there be visits required if you do it from any university which is far from your place or online will help?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. What will be required?
Visits from the
Visits.
university. Yes.
Okay, this is a question which I must answer. This basically depends on your and your guide's relation. If your guide calls you, okay, if the guide is staying far away and if the guide wants you to personally meet, then you will have to go. It's a very personal question. It's a question of choice. If the guide calls you, definitely you will have to go. If the guide doesn't call you for 6 months, 1 year, you don't have to go. Then it depends on how you would like to, have contact with your guide. If you want to show your work, then definitely you will have to go. There is nothing fixed hard and fast like this, like you have to meet. But then it depends on the personal, or you may say the nature of the guide or the researcher. I see, I don't call my scholars at all. I do everything online. Even prior to this, I used to do online because it's convenient for them. All of them are working, they're teachers, and it's not feasible for them or to commute, maybe from Bombay or from Pune. They're from far off places. Two of my students were from Jalgaon. Both of them were working in Jalgaon. I told them very well in advance that there is no need to come and meet me until and unless it is anything technical where I need to sign and they need to be here. Otherwise, I didn't call them. Everything happened online through courier. They used to send their chapters through courier. It depends on the nature of the guide. And that is why it is said, you are blessed if you get a good guide. Your half PhD is done there. Okay. So it
Very
depends.
true.
Very subjective. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Fani Kumari, she has asked for your guidance. As she says, all the universities prefer Turnitin software for plagiarism check. It's
Yes.
showing references also as plagiarism percentage, though we are sincerely mentioning the authors and details.
Yeah, see, there are two softwares which are used by universities these days, which she has rightly mentioned, Turnitin. Now, Turnitin is the software which is prescribed by many state governments also, and universities are using it. So this issue is there, and that is why 10%, 20% is also okay. I think more than 20% they make you like ask you to make changes. Otherwise, I think it's absolutely okay. Now, here in Mumbai University, very late, as of I think 2 3 months ago, they have appointed one retired librarian, and they have brought out a circular saying that each student will have to submit chapters to this librarian, and she will do the plagiarism check through the software. There's another software like Urkund. Okay, these are the two softwares which are used, either Urkund or Turnitin. So I think
Right.
name of the authors shouldn't be of issue actually. I don't know. Like it
I
shouldn't be
guess
an issue.
if the references are have been put thoroughly, properly, then it would be the issue of plagiarism. But by any chance, if references are not have been not been put properly, then it may catch the it as plagiarism.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Yes, ma'am. So, this one question: can similar references be considered as plagiarism? Is there any hypothesis in literary research
Do similar references be considered? Can similar
as
references be
plagiarism?
considered as plagiarism?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I am repeating this again and again. See, until
Yes.
and unless you, for example, I have written one article, okay, and you are picking my article as it is, one entire paragraph from my article as it is, and you are not mentioning it anywhere. You are not giving due credit to the original author. I am the original author. Madhavi Nikam has written that article. Somebody else is writing from the same article without giving any credit to me or mentioning my name. That is plagiarism. But if you take something, one entire paragraph, and put it as a quotation from my article, and then you give my reference, it cannot be called as plagiarism. So please keep
Right.
that in. It cannot be called as plagiarism. There is a difference between plagiarism. Now, see, I have one case that is going on right now. I should not mention because it's very confidential. There's a case of plagiarism from one of the reputed universities. Therein, when we are called, there are five teachers on the panel, five professors on the panel from various other universities, where we are going through the thesis. The entire thesis is, chapters after chapters are copied from another thesis. So that is clearly a case of plagiarism. But if you give due credit to the author from whose work you have written down something, it cannot be called as plagiarism.
Right. Yes. So next question is on MLA Handbook. What changes have been made in ninth edition of MLA Handbook as compared to 8th edition? Can you please throw some light? I guess this was very clear. If, yes.
I think ninth edition has made many changes, technical changes, and they have made it much more easier. And it is more emphasizing on the virtual media that we are using these days. How to give references from, you can use YouTube also these days as a source of information, okay, as a database. So how to write about YouTube? Now, for example, as I have mentioned in my lecture, that if I take something from the YouTube today, or from net, I have accessed something from the net today, tomorrow the author may update it. He may add something to the article. And that is why I precisely mentioned, whenever you are using that resource, you must mention the date on which you have accessed that article. And this, all these minute details you will find in the ninth edition as well. There is no much, there is not much difference
Right.
between ninth and edition, but technically a few things which have changed over the past 2 years have been included in the ninth edition.
Very well said, ma'am. There's one important question I feel there's on Scopus journals. It is
Yes,
related to
Scopus
this.
Index Journal.
Could you please give the names of few Scopus journals for language and literature where we can publish the papers?
That's a very difficult question indeed. Because Scopus Index journals or
Right. I guess
journals,
they can. Yes.
no, journals with impact factor or Scopus Index journals, what they are asking about right now. It's very difficult because there are very few journals which are Scopus indexed, or they come under the UGC care list and they have got impact factor. Now, one thing I would like to make it very clear, it's not necessary to only publish in Scopus Index journals. You can publish in journals where there is impact factor, because in the CAS, career advancement scheme, there are marks for, suppose you have published your article in a journal which has got impact factor more than 5, so you will get 20 marks for it or 10 marks for it, plus 10, like for your article you will get 10 marks, and for the index factor you will get 10 marks, so total 20 marks you will get. Likewise, I'm just giving you this as an example. So it's not necessary that you should always go in only for Scopus Index. You can go in for any impact factor journal. And for language and literature, it is very difficult. Basically, index factor or impact factor basically was for science journals, because they are very objective. Languages are very subjective. That is why we didn't have any impact factor as such. But nowadays, even languages and literature journals are getting impact factors. Okay. Basically speaking, impact factor must only be for the science journals, but that is not happening. And since it has become a part and parcel of the UGC regulations, journals are or editors are trying to get this impact factor, and they are trying to get their journal Scopus indexed. That is happening. And right now, I don't have any names as such which I should give, because the names that I know, they charge exuberantly, which I don't think so I can suggest here. They charge exuberantly. For one article, they charge more than 5,000. So that is not advisable also anyway. But that is what I have heard. I don't know personally. I have not even seen. But my students tell me, Madam, this is what is happening. And I don't know any such journal as of now. So maybe impact factor journals can be an option. That can happen. Students can go in for impact factor journals.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Uh, okay, there's one person, Aisha, she is asking for your email ID. I guess if
Yeah,
it
sure,
is
sure.
feasible, you can write it on your
I'll write it on
conversation. Okay,
chat box.
we'll forward it. Yes,
It's madhavinikam
yes.
22 at gmail.com. Okay. It's madhavinikam 22. I'll just
Okay,
put
there
it
are
in the chat.
yes.
We'll forward
Okay, there
it
are many
to
compliments coming
participants.
from our participants.
Okay. I have mentioned it in the chat box.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This will be very helpful for our participants to discuss on research. Uh,
Thank you.
so I can see many compliments coming from our participants for you. This is
So much.
already visible, ma'am. So
Thank you.
continuing to that, I would like to wind up with one last question. Though we are getting many questions yet, but since we are lacking short of time, so I'll just raise one last question. There's one question from Nisha, ma'am. Generally, chapter should be of how many pages in thesis, and what should be the font size?
See, it depends on, for example, introductory chapter. Introductory chapter cannot be very lengthy. Even if you stretch, it may go, see, if you have many authors, then it may go to 40 pages. Okay. If you have more than four, if you have two authors, 35, 40 pages is sufficient, I feel, first chapter. But your actual authors, when you're working, you're analyzing the text. So that those chapters can go up to 45, 50 pages. So see, from the very first page till your bibliography, your pages will be numbered. So your thesis approximately should go in beyond 225 to 250 pages. That is what is usually expected in all the universities. That is the trend actually. Depends. This one chapter may be a little lengthy, the other can be a little small. Depends on the number of resources that you have. As I have been saying again and again, there is no hard and fast rule like how many pages must be there. It depends.
Right. Okay. There's one person who has raised her hand, Slavanya. Shashank sir,
Yes,
can we
I
do
will.
something?
Yeah, I'll give her the permission.
Yes.
Yes, you can now unmute yourself. I think it is Lavanya, and ask.
Lavanya.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
I'm Dr. Lavanya from Kale University. It's been a great FDP arrangement. Uh, Dr. Madhi, I just wanted to ask you, related to research, English research, there has been a kind of, that feeling among, maybe because of the technology and digitalization and all, people keep questioning what is it that you get by doing research in literature. It's after all some novels, you're going to give a summary or analyze something. What's the contribution to the world? Whereas if it is language, if it is English language teaching or something, you're doing some kind of a benefit. That is that a myth or is that a reality? What's your take on that, ma'am?
See,
Because there's a rush, kind of people are worried. And there is also another assumption from young researchers that they feel, madam, only if we do in ELT we'll get jobs. If it is literature, we won't. So I just wanted you to give a clarification on that.
yeah, ma'am, a very good question. In fact, as far as the question goes, I feel the first thing I would like to emphasize is about the employability. If you go for the technical aspect of doing research, as per the 7th page GR, which came on, the notification came on 18th July 2018, it clearly mentions that you must have PhD if you want to be in as a professor at the university level. First thing. Second most important thing is majority of the colleges and universities are going in for autonomy. And all these colleges will surely ask for PhD along with your net set. So apart from being an eligibility condition or something very mandatory, I feel it is very important to have this degree in hand for employability purpose. One thing, and second, it's not a myth. It's I think one thing I would like to definitely focus on here is when people say language will gain some sort of employability. Research on language studies will gain employability, and literature won't. It's not that. So this question, this part of the question, I think I have answered, because doing research in itself is very essential, technically essential to become a professor now. Second most important, as I have said, as per the 7th page here, if you are working in a college and if you want to get promotion as an associate professor, you must have PhD. It is mandatory. The present cases in Mumbai who are due for career advancement scheme, okay, under the UGC guidelines, all those teachers who don't have PhD, they are not getting associate promotion. They are all withheld. Okay, so this is the second thing why teachers are rushing, or there is a rat race to complete their research. And now coming about like people say, or they have allegations, or they accuse, or they have contention regarding doing PhD in literature, like how is it going to be useful? I feel whatever has happened in the pandemic would be a good example to give to them. Whatever has happened in the pandemic is coming in the form of literature, and it will remain for 100 years. It will remain for 100 years as a record with us, first thing. Second most important thing, what literature has done to humanity, we all of us know, and this is absolutely a myth that literature is not going to help us in any way. Because doing research in literature also has proved that Shakespeare is alive even after 200 years now. So nobody can actually accuse or have this contention of saying that doing literature, research in literature is of no use. This would be this would be very generalizing statement that doing research in literature makes no sense. I personally don't accept this fact, because see, we all study literature, we all have been studying literature. There are various languages. We have a teacher here, Srashti madam, from French department. We all others are from English department, Marathi, Hindi. The languages wouldn't survive if we don't study literature. The emotions wouldn't survive if we don't study literature, I feel.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, doing PhD technique for technical reasons is one thing, and doing it for gaining a sort of solace, a sort of comfort, I think has another very important aspect of doing it. It's my personal opinion, of course.
So it must be, it is 100% true, because most of the time, whenever we talk about the soft skills training and you want to teach them empathy, you bring in a language teacher, whether it is English or Marathi or any other. You can't have a technical person doing it. So I just
Correct.
brought on this question because there are plenty of researchers. There is an assumption. Thank you very much, ma'am. It is very enlightening. Thank you. Thank you, the
Thank you so
audience.
much.
Okay, there's one more candidate who's raising.
Shashti, we can end the session.
Okay,
Okay, we are right.
all right. All right. So I would request the person who has raised hand, if she can mention her query in mail. Ma'am has already provided, and we will try to do the justice as the possible ways. All right. So thank you so much, ma'am, Dr. Madhavi Nigam, ma'am, for such an insightful presentation. Your discourse on the topic has made the understanding of research process as easy as shooting fish in a barrel. On this note, I'd like to extend my gratitude to our participants for their active participation along with patience. On behalf of our head of institution, Professor Dr. Manjari Vaidya ma'am, all faculty members and staff members of Amity School of Languages, entire family of Amity University Mumbai campus, and other audience, I want to thank Dr. Madhavi Nikam ma'am for sharing some drops of ocean of her knowledge with us. Your address to this session of our faculty development program has surely enlightened our learners and spectators. It's indubitably a very stimulating experience, and our audience is certainly intrigued by your knowledge and and new possibilities in the research in the field of research. I'm sure there's a lot to learn from you, Dr. Madhvenikam ma'am. Really wish you to keep coming and grace us with your presence in future too. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Chat boxes justify your session.
Yes.
A lot many smiles on faces, a lot many comments coming up. Ma'am, impeccable
Thank
session it was. I feel like doing it under you now. Please accept me. Now, this was a beautiful run on methodology of research. The questions that matter the most is there at the back of everybody's mind, whether it be a PhD scholar or otherwise. It was beautifully and an easy, comfortable session we had, not very informative. And all this, I mean each word that I speak about you, ma'am. Question answer session was also very informative. We learned so much when a learned, effective person speaks. There's so much. We behave like sponges. We soak in what you give. Very informative, condensed, and very pragmatic and real life solutions were provided by you, ma'am. God bless you. We will be troubling you in future. That's an assurance. And I'm
you.
taking your consent on a
Anytime.
very public platform. Thank you so much. God bless you. And
Thank
thank you once again, everybody, all the participants. We break for lunch and we shall resume exactly at 12 with yet another prolific speaker. Please stay with us and be on time. Thank you very much, dear participants. You were also very wonderful. Thank you, Shrashti. Thank you, Manjari ma'am. And a big thanks to our Nikam ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, just to
Thank you so
interrupt.
much. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, ma'am, you said 12. It should be 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. We will resume. Our participants are now tuned in to join at 2. They are there with us on the 4th day. Sorry for that remark. It is, we shall resume at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock today. Yes, ma'am. Madhavi
I,
ma'am, something.
yeah, I would like to thank each and everyone. My special thanks to Manjari Vaidya ma'am for giving me this opportunity, to Suzanne ma'am, Shashti ma'am, Swati madam. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful to be connected to all of you. And I'm sure like the next time I come, I will come physically to the college after this new normal breaks down. So thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you to
We will,
the management of Amity University as well.
we will eagerly await that, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you so much, everybody. Now we break and we resume at 2 o'clock today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.